So just be kind to everybody. Bear in mind that although we all have our own challenges, everyone also has many others that we might not be aware of.
This episode is supported by a proper local clinic just outside of Bishop Stortford. Most people don't wake up planning to see a chiropractor. It's the stiff neck that won't ease, the bad back that's killing your sleep, or that pain that suddenly makes work and family life harder. Takeley Chiropractic help people get out of pain and, even more importantly, stay out of pain. They don't rush you. They take time to understand you and make you feel better. They want to understand what you want to get back to doing, whether that's work, sport, or just spending time with your family. They're a local team, highly qualified, and recently they won an award for outstanding patient care. Have a look at takeleychiropractic.co.uk and see what they're all about. Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Richard Townsend. Richard, great to have you on the show.
Very pleased to be here.
Now, Richard, for those of us who don't know you yet, which can't be many of us, who are you and what do you do here in Bishop Stortford?
I'm a local town and district councillor on multiple different boards and committees. I have a finger in many pies, and for the last 3 years, I've had the honour and the privilege to be Mayor of Bishop Stortford. So I've served 3 terms, and I'll give you an update on that as we talk.
Fantastic. Is that a record-breaking 3 years that you've been Mayor for?
Yes, it is. Consecutively. We've had 1 or 2 others that have done astounding work and done 2 terms. And during the pandemic and lockdowns, etc.
Right, okay. So Mayor, what does that mean? What does that actually mean that you're doing?
Well, it's actually a civic post, which is the Mayor of the Town Council and of the area, so Bishop Stortford. And ultimately, my purpose was to support as many businesses, charities and voluntary organisations as possible, both in the immediate area and also to represent our town far and wide. So I got around to a lot of different places, 300 or 400 each year, and generally caused alarm and despondency wherever I went, and got to meet some amazing people.
I bet. So like 300-400 events a year, you're Mayor for 3 years, so you must have done easily over 1,000.
Somewhere like that. I'm sure my PA, who's, I must add, is absolutely phenomenal, and she's done an outstanding job, and she really needs to rest herself. But of course, she gets the new mayor to care for. She has worked very hard, as have all the town council staff, and so many others that have supported me in the various things I've been occupied in. And the events tend to be, well, centralised around Bishop Stortford, but also I've been to many as far as Chelmsford, central London, up towards Cambridge, over to Hertford and into St Albans and various other places. Sometimes on separate days, sometimes 3, 4, 5 and even 7 on one day that was very long. But then I looked more baggy-eyed than I do now.
I imagine. So how does a mayor get chosen? Do you have to be a town councillor first and then it gets selected out of that group?
Absolutely. I happen to be on district council as well, but as a town councillor, all the elected members who have been elected by our local population will then choose somebody they believe will do a decent job and do what's required and be adaptable and reliable to attend, say the right things, mostly, sometimes say the wrong things inadvertently, and rarely, but occasionally necessarily, to apologise for a faux pas.
I'm sure everybody has to do that at some point. So are you, as well as those kind of duties as mayor, you also have the duty of being a town councillor as well? That doesn't...
Yeah, so I have my ward, so my area that is primarily my responsibility, and that's divided up between the 17 town councillors, and the mayor is also one of those. Therefore, I lead the main town meetings. I'm also invited to, but I'm not obliged to attend every one of the other committee meetings and to attend all the invited events. And often I receive personal ones that ask me to join something or open something or attend an event, which is a huge delight and a great privilege. Makes you feel, not you, but me, feel very special and very fortunate when I meet all these people. And the wonderful thing is, as well, they all seem to be so pleased to see me, which is an astounding sensation.
It's
And they mainly put up with my strange sense of humour as well.
well, I'm sure you add to the occasion.
You're very
the idea.
kind.
One thing I've noticed since starting the podcast, it's which is only 6 months old now, really, is the amount of people in the community that invest their time and money and effort into investing in it. And I'm guessing as mayor, you would have seen past that kind of first layer and seen so much more than most of us get to see in our everyday lives. Is that your experience as well?
It's an astonishing experience because you see many people repeatedly, often in the same places. You see many others that are in other places doing great volunteering work and supporting multiple charities, and they're always popping up. It's often the same people. But we've got some phenomenal volunteers and people in this town, without which I think we'd be completely in terrible trouble. So yes, lots of care homes, Cubs, Scouts, the Girls Brigade, Brownies, you name it. I've been honoured to be invited along, participate with those things, and in 14, 15 different churches, lots of their services and events.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. This kind of altruism, when you're giving back and you're supporting the community, it actually makes you feel good about
Oh,
yourself.
it makes you
doesn't
feel
it?
absolutely wonderful. It's very selfish, really,
Yeah, yes, that's
in
what
a strange sort of way.
I try to explain that to people all the time. They don't understand it, but that's it's great. So what are you excited about now? You've done over 1,000 events now. You've handed over your chain of office. Is that the right term?
The chain of office
Yeah.
has now gone to our new incoming mayor, who's very capable. He'll be delightful, but in his own unique way. And actually, just for today until this evening, he still holds an important position within East Herts District Council, which I'll let him explain in due course when we drag him, not kicking and screaming, on to do this particular thing.
Fantastic.
I think he'd enjoy doing it. He's got a lot to be able to contribute. He's very experienced, very knowledgeable, and I'll support him all that I can, as I have with previous mayors. Dave Anderson, for example, did 2 years before I came on board. Obviously, we had Norma Simons, who sadly we lost last year. She just never stopped delivering and giving to people, especially those that were perhaps downtrodden and suffering without all the basics that she needs. And this is another thing. It puts you in a position whereby you're invited and have the opportunity to attend both events and also just meeting decent, ordinary people from all walks of life, from the multi-millionaires, and we have a few, down to, or not down to, across to people that perhaps are searching for somewhere to live or relying on the food bank to exist. And we've got some astounding people, we really have. And one thing I learned many years ago is not to judge anybody by their circumstance, because I've also, in my time, in a variety of different past experiences, which are possibly too many to mention, met some very privileged people who are not especially nice, and some very underprivileged people who are wonderful. So never judge a book by its cover.
Isn't that the way of the world?
Absolutely.
Richard? Definitely. So
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to now, Richard?
Well, that's a very interesting question. My first year actually was a huge challenge because I think it's fairly well known that my wife died 8 days before I took office. So the first few months, even the first year, was a huge challenge. But it was a great benefit because what came out of that was a sense of dedication, a sense of purpose. I've often said, and many people have heard me say it, often in these situations we have two ways of looking at things. You can look down and go down, or you can look up and say, well, what can I do from here? How can something good come out of this? So I was very fortunate to have this opportunity and this chance to try and make good out of something terrible. And although my wife would have loved to be involved in it, she'd have been astounding. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. But in follow-up from that, it's given me a new viewpoint and a chance to support businesses and organisations, especially Isabel Hospice and St Elizabeth's and so many others, where people are fighting enough challenges and they just need some further support. So I've had the privilege of going along and doing guest speaking events, and the subject matter is open, and I'm always willing to chat and to listen. And this is something I think so many people don't always do, is listen. We need more empathy. We need less anger.
100%. Richard, it's amazing the work that you've done, and I'm sure I can pass on from the population of Bishop Stortford, how grateful we are for the last 3 years that you put in, and we look forward to see how you continue investing in the community with your time and your energy in the years to come. It's been fantastic talking to you, and it's been great having you on the podcast.
Well, it's my
really
plan
has.
to continue with many of those things without stepping on our new incumbent's toes, because some of those things, he has his own unique interests and his own skills, and he'll be able to do things that perhaps I couldn't, and I'll perhaps be able to do things where he might not feel so comfortable. We've also got an astounding, slightly younger chap, and they'll both have a go at me for saying that, who is deeply involved in the local council and will stand in as a deputy mayor for the next civic year. And my deputy mayor last year, Murray White, did a great job whenever he was asked. And also Sarah Copley before that. We've got a huge bunch of people that do so much, and it's a privilege to work with them as well. And I must emphasise that once again.
Fantastic. That's lovely, Richard. Thank you very much. Richard, are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions now?
Yeah, certainly. Feel free.
Excellent. These are 3 super fast questions that we ask every guest that comes onto the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. First question. If you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say, and who needs to hear it the most?
What it needs to say is just be kind to everyone. And the people that need to see it are all the people in the town that currently don't quite always manage that, especially drivers that get very angry or frustrated, perhaps people that argue over things that really don't matter, trying to get a parking space or avoiding collisions, perhaps considering those that spend more time parking on the pavement. So just be kind to everybody. Bear in mind that although we all have our own challenges, everyone also has many others that we might not be aware of.
Yeah, everybody's going through something.
Exactly.
I agree with that, Richard. That's a lovely, lovely sentiment. Thank you. Question 2. Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
Well, that is a tricky one, because as part and parcel of what I do already and will continue to, I try to get round to as many coffee mornings, rather, it's a standing joke almost, as my name around the town and many businesses in the past was simply Mr. T, and to lots of the schools and colleges has always been not Mr. Coffee, not Mr. Chocolate, but Mr. T. Therefore, Rosie Lee's already is very popular and a great favourite of mine, and all of their different locations. Nostimo's certainly has been marvellous, because you will have heard them mentioned many times before. We've got some marvellous places. I don't want to play favourites, but secretly almost wish that Rosie Lee's and Nostimo's weren't as popular for my benefit, but I'm so pleased they are for everybody else's.
That's exactly the question. That's perfect. Thank you ever so much for those recommendations, and I'm sure we'll see you in those over the next few weeks and months.
Absolutely.
Enjoying yourself. Okay, last question. Who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
Yet again, a challenge, because ultimately we have so many people that are doing so much good, and trying to narrow that down to 1 or 2 individuals could be quite a challenge. I think in summary, although technically it is their job, they do far more than many people actually realise, and that is the NHS social prescribers. And their purpose is to fill all the gaps and support and signpost so many people of all ages that just need support and direction and get social prescribing underway. So to summarise that, social prescribing would be to direct and assist both in person or in groups, all the things that people need and they don't necessarily realise it. So perhaps elderly, infirm, or lonely people that are fighting other challenges, who need to find somewhere they can go, something they can do. Things such as the equivalent of the Grief Encounters course that supports people who have been through bereavements. And I met some astounding people on that course and on the other similar ones in the town. So I think the social prescribers and the many carers they also try and support, you can't sum them up in a few words, but there's not many of them, there's not enough of them, and they work exceptionally hard. even though some people will see them just attending an event or just turning up at something to support a couple of people. No, they do so much more, and they help with the walking groups, they help with getting people's mobility returned. Perhaps they might need assistance in the night shelter. But actually, coming back to that and mentioning the night shelter, Dave, that officially runs the night shelter, he is so dedicated and does so much for people, not just within that situation directly, but around the town. When he's not working, he's working unofficially, going around looking out for people that have got struggles and problems and helping them and letting us know what we might be able to do if we're not already aware. So it's a very long answer to a short question, but yes, all the volunteers, but especially our social prescribers and the key individuals that support all our charities. Oh, and one last bit, DKMS, one of my charities for the last couple of years, they're trying to delete blood cancer. And actually, all that people need to do now to perhaps be on the register for that, and just being on the register can save a life, and it has done. And we've got 4 or 5 people in this local area who are battling that, and we're trying to get as many people as possible between sort of 18 and 60 to just get a cheek swab done, because that's all they need to do, and seal it in the sterile envelope, give it back to DKMS. They will process it, store it on the database, and then globally, because it's linked with so many others, it will then potentially match them, and that can change almost instantly someone's chance of survival and a new life. And what a phenomenal thing to do. And Leslie, that runs our local branch of that, really deserves both a shout out and a hug. But I tend to do that whenever I get the chance to see you, bless her.
Excellent. Leslie and Dave have both been on the podcast to share.
I wasn't sure. I'm glad to hear that.
They're very early guests on the podcast, and we must get them back on again to share again the work they've been doing over the last year. But great shout outs, and thank you for shining a light on all of those people, Richard. It's a fantastic privilege that we have to be able to do that with people in the community that are giving back and make our town so much better.
One last little thing that you've just made me think of.
Go for it, Richard.
There's this young chap. He's a new guy on the block, really. His name's James O'Donnell. And he's actually shining a light on so many people who are doing marvellous things. But of course, there's a lot of people that won't know about them if nobody tells them. And we're all a bit inclined to focus on what's going wrong. And I'm delighted you're focusing on so much of what's going right. So you're also serving the community in a great and beneficial way. So thank you, and just be kind to everyone, which you are already. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That's really kind words. It's just a little podcast, and hopefully we're making the world a better place.
Well, whatever you do, you mustn't edit that bit out.
Okay. Okay, I promise. Richard, that's a wrap. Where's the best place for us to follow along with the work that you're going to be doing from now on, Richard? Can we follow you along online?
It'll probably be less in the newspaper. There's a standing joke that people look in there most weeks to see what I've been up to. So I'm sure I'll still pop up here and there, often to be found at the various events and coffee mornings, which I will still attend anyway. And I'll probably, much annoyingly, appear on occasions at the same location as our new mayor. And so I will try not to annoy him, I've promised.
Fantastic. Richard, thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed, James.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you've enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us, the show, is to hit follow, leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and share it on your socials. Or maybe share it with someone in town who's not on social media but should hear Richard's story and the work that he's been doing over the last 3 years. And if you've got a local legend, someone that you think we should feature on the podcast, drop their name in the comments below. I'll reach out to them, invite them on, and we can have a little chat. Again, Richard, thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Been a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.